is my fervent wish that one day you will be able to absorb the incredible atmosphere that we have here on a daily basis. I'm just going to wait here and see what they do. It's very key with elephants to gain their trust. And the way you gain an elephant's trust is to basically the same as with a human being, not irritate it too much to start with. And of course this vehicle does make quite a lot of noise. It smells of various disgusting things, and so we just let the elephants become comfortable with us, and then we come down. Welcome back to our television audience. Wonderful to have you back here. Since you last left us, we were looking at the buffalo. We've left them. There are some of them heading towards the water, others heading into the woodland to graze, and we have now found a magnificent herd of elephants, which is just browsing its way slowly down this road, possibly towards the same water where the buffalo are now. And at the moment we're looking at a sub-adult. He's almost juvenile, really. A little one feeding on something called a Chinese lantern or Dicrostachys cinerea bush. Hugely important, the relationship that you're observing in front of you there. Elephants eat those bushes, and without elephants and in the presence of grazers, those bushes become encroacher species. And so the fact that that elephant is eating that bush is very important to the overall health of the ecosystem out here. I'm going to roll very gently forward and hope that he doesn't move off. There are a whole lot of elephants coming around now. There's some crossing the road in front of us in the distance, but we'll stay on this little fellow for now. There we go. Now the trick, of course, like I say, is to try and gain their trust. And by just rolling forward, not starting the engine and making a big noise, sometimes you can get really close to them. But now, interestingly, the wind has just changed slightly. It's come from behind us. And what you'll find there is that although this vehicle is very obvious, he will pick up our human scent now. And there is little so offensive to an elephant than the scent of human being. And that, of course, is that because we are the apex predator out here. And they're not likely to kind of do too much in this area because they're quite used to it. But if you go into an area where they've been harassed at all and the wind changes and they smell person, well, they either run away or they become very defensive, neither of which you really want. We don't tend to think of ourselves as having an enormously powerful smell. We all know people who have an enormously powerful smell, and we tend to avoid them. But actually all of us have an enormously powerful smell, and of course we spend quite a lot of time cleaning ourselves and putting all sorts of what we consider to be nice smelling things on us. And I'm sure that these animals smell very odd indeed. Let us roll slowly forward, Brian. So this little fellow is now slightly offended by us. He'll be okay though. There are a whole lot more off to the right hand side. And they're all very peacefully browsing along in what is known as a strychnos or black monkey thorn thicket. And you can see all these scrubby little bushes. Those are called black monkey oranges, sorry. And there is a big cow who will be watching us very carefully. She will not necessarily react, but you can be very sure, rather like if you consider a human sort of grouping and kids playing, their mothers are always watching slowly, or not slowly, they're watching carefully out of the corner of one eye, never ignoring what their kids are doing. And the matriarch of a herd of elephants is very similar. Oh dear, she's obviously been eating quite a lot of fresh vegetable matter, and that is now making its way out of the rear end of her alimentary canal in liquid form. Right. We move across to Brent. Brent is also with an elephant, apparently, but he is, of course, on foot. So we'll nip across to him, enjoy what he has to say, and I'll see you just now.
Welcome on today's sunset bushwalk. My name is Brent Smith, and I'm going to be your guide on foot through this African wilderness. I've got Chandra on camera with me, and I don't know if you guys noticed my raised hand there. That was meaning stop. I've heard something. It does sound like elephants. There are an incredible amount of elephants around Onjuma Private Game Reserve where we're walking this afternoon, and I think there are some elephants up ahead. Our general plan is we're trying to slowly meander towards the Buffelshoek waterhole, and obviously we've got to be very careful. We know there's going to be a lot of breeding herds, so we're going to go really slowly and keep our ears open, our eyes open, and hopefully we find some elephants and we're able to view them and move out without them even knowing we're here. So another very important thing is while we're doing this, we're going to check wind, and the wind is perfect. What I heard sounds like it was just to the west of us, and if I had to labor a guess, I'm going to say it's 80% elephants, maybe 20% buffalo, branches breaking. Sometimes when a buffalo rubs his head up and down against a tree, it can make a similar noise to elephants. But for me, it sounded too firm a break, so I think it is ellies. So we're just going to move a little bit forward, using the available trees as cover. And if it is a breeding herd, I don't want to get too close. I just want to find out exactly where they are, so we can plan our route down to the waterhole where we might possibly be able to sit and safely watch them drink and cavort in the water. So I can see some trees moving, and that is a really good sign of elephant. And we're just going to sneak forward a tiny bit more. We have to be conscious, not only of what's in front of us, what's potentially behind us, to the side of us. So you'll notice I'll swing around and I might check all around us. And we don't want to surprise an animal or be surprised by an animal while on foot. Let's go around a little bit. There we go. It's definitely not a really good visual, but there is an elephant there. And with this bush, I'm going to try and point it out for you now. It looks like just a dark piece of shadow at the end of my stick there. But if we keep the camera there, you will see the movement. And not the greatest type of bush for walking elephants. Oh, and a duiker as well, just ran through. But there we go. There we go, see the trunk? So this is not a good place to walk. Not a good place to walk. It won't be safe for us to go in there. So we know where they are now. We know which way the wind is coming. So we're going to move out and around in a big loop. And we're going to cross across to James, who can show you a really nice big herd of Eddies up close from the vehicle. Obviously, to view elephants on foot, we have to be in sort of our ideal conditions. This is not one of them, and there's no point in taking a risk. So over to James, and we're going to move around and see if we can get a better view.
Hi everybody, we are just approaching the elephants now from the other side. The buffalo are in here as well. It just got a bit thick around there, and the elephants are moving in this general direction, probably to head towards the water eventually. Of course, predicting where elephants are going, or any animal for that matter, normally results in an enormous amount of egg on the face, because they then normally do precisely the opposite of what you think they are going to. So there they are. Phew. What a relief. We're just going to move up through here and get another look. And again, moving very gingerly, very slowly, just in the same way that Brent was moving very slowly, and I'm sure you saw the care with which he was approaching, assessing the wind, assessing where the elephant was, the kind of cover, the bush and that sort of thing. So we do the same kind of thing in the vehicle, but because elephants don't perceive us in the same way in the vehicle as they do as on foot, they don't see us quite as the same threat. We can obviously get a bit closer in a vehicle without creating too much of an issue. I'm just going to gently ease my way forward here. Try not to crack too much in the way of the vegetation. There we go. Sorry, I have parked you in front of a tree, but either side of it there are elephants. And Brian, because he is a genius with the camera, will get you a wonderful picture of these 4 elephants that are in sight now. Some more off to the front of us, just gently sort of making their way through the woodland. Now what often happens is that one of them will give a command. That will normally be the oldest female, or the matriarch, and she will give a command which is sometimes audible but sometimes isn't, and you know it's been given because suddenly the elephants go completely silent and then they all move off as one, and that command will probably be to go to the water so that they can have a drink. They are grazing slowly towards it now. A little one. I say graze, they do graze and browse, of course. The difference being one is the eating of leaves in a woody plant, aka tree or bush, and the other is the eating of leaves on an herbaceous plant, aka a grass. And they would prefer to eat grass, elephants, because it's softer, easier on the teeth, in the same way that we don't like to eat stones. We prefer to eat softly cooked meat. Same it is with elephants. Brian, I'm just going to reverse back a bit here. So I think they're pretty relaxed with us. There we go, Brian. So this young elephant is now showing us that he is a very big, strong and fearsome fellow. And well, he's not very fearsome at this stage of his life. He will be when he gets bigger. He's probably about 14 or 15 years old, maybe a bit younger than that even, and is now trying to pretend that he was actually just coming over to this bush to feed. He wasn't really trying to be threatening at all. He's feeling a little bit embarrassed by the fact that we didn't turn tail and run at a great speed. And he's eating some of the most thorny, hard, spiny and sort of most tire puncturing plants there is here in the bush. It's called zebrawood or Dalbergia melanoxylon. I'm just going to be very quiet and hope that he approaches us. Hello, fellow. Oh, yes, very vicious boy. I'm not ducking away from the elephant, everyone. I'm ducking away so you don't look at my head. And he's now actually quite enjoying this. I think you'll find he was. There we go. So there was a command, or certainly a communication, an infrasonic rumble, which I don't think you would have picked up. It sounds almost like, but I'm pretty sure to an elephant it sounds very different. Anyway, we're going to continue looking at this beautiful elephant and probably following them slowly towards the water. And while we do that, we're going to take a very short break. And when you come back, we will hopefully be with the elephants. Bye-bye. Just to reiterate, everybody, that slightly strange behavior that you're hearing from me is me practicing for the National Geographic broadcast. So in case you're wondering why you didn't go away to some sort of an ad break, well, it's because it's not actually happening. We're in a rehearsal. Now, there are a whole lot of elephants apparently at the water, so we're going to go straight across there and let's have a look at them there. Trying to avoid all the zebra wood, which of course has vicious spines on it, which will go through the tires of this car and render us entirely immobile here in the midst of a herd of elephants. Probably also result in Brian slapping me across the backside of the head for being an idiot. So the water's just up here, it's not far away. While we're moving along towards the water, there's no need for you to sit here and get seasick with us. Let's go across to Hayden Turner, wonderful presenter, so happy to have him with us, and he'll introduce himself to you and again, and I'll see you just now.
Well, hello everybody. Hi to all of you out there from the Jigger. I can't believe I'm in this vehicle for the first time for about 6 months. My name's Hayden. If I haven't met you before, it's great to meet you and welcome aboard the biggest safari vehicle on the planet, and welcome to Safari Live again from me. Now, I know that James and Scott have just had some lovely elephant experiences by the sounds of things, and there's elephants everywhere. It's a little bit elephantastic today. We saw a lot of fresh tracks just going down the ways here, and we've got some lovely buffalo coming through here, probably just pass in front of me in a second. But I just want to say welcome, and if you wanted to interact with us, which is the most fantastic thing about Safari Live, you can interact with us by tweeting hashtag Safari Live, or questions at wildearth.tv, and get some questions to us, and we'd love to talk to you. If it's your first time on the vehicle with us, great to have you on board. This is the most incredible experience, a unique experience on the planet, to be sitting here live in Africa with us on the beautiful Djuma and Arathusa game reserves here in Sabi Sands. And I've got Vian with me, and we haven't worked together for a good 5 months, mate, have we? It's just great it's just like coming home to family here for me. Really, really wonderful. So I hope to get to know you a little bit better, and for people that I do know, great to have you with me and be sitting on this vehicle with us. I'm just going to toot along down here. We're heading up to Buffelshoek Dam. It's a really nice time of the day to do that, and I think I'm just going to start going, because these buffs are actually heading through there to another dam on another property. So what we should do is cross back to James. I think he was repositioning to try and get a better perspective on those elephants, and we'll tootle up to another water point, and we'll come back to you just now. Great to be with you, folks.
Hello, we've come to the water, and there is a multiple herd drinking here. The elephants, of course, they're the big grey ones with the white tusks. There's some nyala there, which you can see to the far left-hand side of the screen. They are the brown ones. And then behind that, there is also a buffalo, which you can't really see there. He's behind that big cow who's blocking the way, and she's not doing it purely because that's where she was standing. As we approached, what she did was she moved in the way between us and the youngster, which is clearly her offspring. And they're just enjoying. Watch her disciplining him there with her foot. She's just pushing him slowly away. And what they're doing is they're not in the water. There is a pipe there that from which fresh water is being pumped, and elephants, if they can, will avoid muddy, befouled water, and they'll drink that clean stuff rather than the muddy stuff. And so that's what they're doing there, where they're standing. And the little one, she's clearly getting a little impatient with. He gets most of his water, of course, from her milk, and doesn't necessarily need to drink too much in the way of water. The one on the right is splaying his ears out because he thinks he's very vicious indeed, but like that one we saw just before we came here. Welcome back, everybody, and we've moved a little bit away from the herd that we were watching in the thickets, and we're now sitting here with a herd that is drinking, and they're not alone, of course. They're sharing the water, very kind of them, with a buffalo and three or four nyala. They're the brown antelope on the left-hand side of your screen. The elephants, of course, are the obviously grey things with the long noses and white tusks. They're all drinking and appreciating the fact that they have clean water to drink. Now this pan, which is a pond basically in South African, if you like, is an area that has been pumped full of water by people, and that's quite nice for the animals. In fact, this time of the year it's extremely nice for the animals because there's not a lot to drink. We're not exactly in a drought, but we're in what would be considered the height of the dry season. It started to get very hot, and while the trees have gone green, and we have had a flush of green in the grass because we had quite a lot of rain early on in the season, we haven't had much since early September. And so the heat and the wind, which you can no doubt hear and probably not feel, but try and imagine a very warm, beautifully elephant-scented wind blowing over your face at the moment. She's very cross, the mother, and just to reiterate, what they're doing is trying to drink out of the pipe that feeds that pan. And as Brian was saying to me today, every time we watch elephants, we find that they're even more human in so many respects. You can just see a young child being disciplined by its mother as it gorged itself on a milkshake or perhaps too much Coke or something like that. And she's saying, be polite and wait your turn. And that's more appropriate drinking for that youngster, now having something in the way of milk to drink, which is more appropriate for a little one like that. He's probably, I'd say about 2.5 years old, so getting towards weaning, maybe a little bit younger, maybe just 2, and so they've probably got a little bit more. she's a very grumpy lady. And you'll probably find that they're not all her offspring. Another herd, or part of the same herd, has moved off already. They've had their drink. And I think you'll find that she's probably just looking after these youngsters, one of whom is very clearly hers. Brian, there's one, you see the one having a bit of a roll there. Shall we move forward a little bit? I'm just going to try and move forward and hopefully not disturb him. And we'll have a decent look at that one. He's head planted himself into the pan, trying to have a bit of a mud wallow. And of course, elephants love to have a mud wallow when they can. And they would normally do that in something like a dam, but of course there isn't a dam with much water in it at the moment. Oh, that's wonderful. Look at that. Isn't that spectacular? That is so special. All right, well, while we're enjoying this wallowing elephant as he head plants himself into the mud here, we'll pop across to Brent, who's at Buffelshoek Dam, and I think he's also with an elephant. Enjoy.
So I don't know if you guys can hear that, but there's quite a lot of elephants around the dam, and they're having a bit of an argument. It could be some young bulls chasing each other around. So lots of screaming, splashing that we can hear, and you can see the water shimmering behind me, and we're going to now move into a safe position. We're going to be behind 2 drainage lines to see if we can get a view of what's going on from what we're hearing. But there are literally elephants all around us at the moment. It's very difficult, that dark patch over there. There's an elephant on the other side of the big drainage line. Oh, looks like it's moving to the water, so we're going to do the same. So obviously, very, very cautious approaching a waterhole. Our senses are really heightened. We are checking every little noise and bush around us. So Jean-Andre's got a really long antenna to show you these pictures out on foot. So occasionally I just have to help him get past some branches. Rumbling and screaming up ahead. This is really exciting. Some of the screaming sounds like it's actually moving away from the waterhole now. So I'm just going to walk a few steps quicker. There's a buffalo, so there are definitely some buffalo still here. And we can see some buffalo bulls. Oh, and they're splashing. Is that a buffalo in the water? Or will it reveal an elephant? Guys, it seems like the elephants have moved off. They're just some buffalo bulls lying on the edge. We can hear the elephant screaming off, probably now about 100 meters from the waterhole. They sound quite upset. While they're at the waterfall, we would have had a nice, safe chance to view them. But unfortunately, now that they've moved away, it's probably not going to be, especially if they're running around. If their actions had been focused around the waterhole, we would have been able to get a nice view. But we've got to cross back to James quickly. He's got something really interesting for you.
Oh my goodness. Folks, I don't know what to say. I just don't know what to say. This place blows my mind. We just drove down this road, and Liam and I were just talking about the wild dogs that we saw down here about a year ago and how fantastic it was. And look at this. We've found the pups. Oh my goodness, this is just sensational. The pups. Oh my gosh. Oh. Wow. A little lost for words here, folks. I cannot tell you the feeling that I have at the moment sitting with these animals. This is one of my favourite animals on the planet. And we found the pups. I think the parents are just over yonder, about 50 metres from me, lying in the shade. But as soon as we drove up, they walked up to the vehicle. Oh, Liam, absolutely spectacular, buddy. Oh my goodness me. I'm just going to let you look at the pictures for a second while I calm down. And I think they're just going to sit for a bit. We have got a couple of things going for us, and that is that it's still quite warm, so it's probably highly likely that they'll stay put for a little bit until Mum and Dad, and I'm not sure what the other sex of the adult is. But the interesting thing is that what I want you to see is my favourite, absolutely favourite all-time wild dog behaviour, and it's called the pep rally. And what they will do is when the parents decide to make a move, they will all gather around and start to greet each other in this extraordinary display of greeting, and it's like a team. Sorry, VM, I'm just taking my foot off the brake there. And it's this extraordinary display that they have, and it's vocalization and squeaking and chattering and carry on, and they're just spectacular. So I think we're just going to sit for a bit, if that's all right with everyone. Why don't you send us a little couple of tweets and a couple of messages and let me know what you're feeling, because I'm feeling pretty good at the moment. Oh boy. Folks, I've just got to also take a few photographs, if that's okay, just because a lot of this information that we gather, particularly it's just not for photographs of fantastic creatures, but we can pass these photographs on as ID for the wild dog research that goes on. This is so wonderful. So wonderful, guys. Oh, my heart rate is up a little high, which is great. I just need to bring it down. No, okay, we're just going to cross to James because there's obviously something really cool going on down there with these elephants. These guys aren't going anywhere, folks. I'll be right back with you as soon as we possibly can.
Hello everybody, wasn't that spectacular that we've had wild dogs twice today? I actually can't believe that, and I'm very pleased for Hayden that he's managed to find those dogs. It's not easy coming straight in here, I tell you, cold from the United Kingdom. Not cold, that's a very bad choice of words on a day like today, and I'm really pleased that he's found those spectacular animals. He's going to stay with them, and we're just having a look at a herd of elephants that's come down. It's replaced the herd that we were watching when you left us, and they've kind of chased off the others, to be honest, and these chaps are now throwing mud and water on their backs to cool off, and they've immediately, you can see some of them have gone off towards that freshwater pipe there, and they're trying to get the freshest water they possibly can. I recognize some of them from their tusks. That's probably the easiest way to recognize animals, really. And I suppose it's a little bit like with people. When you recognize people with bad teeth, they become immediately recognizable. And that elephant there could have done with some serious orthodontics. As a calf, her incisor is basically sticking straight out the front of her head, and I suppose you might In human terms, you might describe her as being able to eat an apple through a tennis racket. I'm not sure if that is an expression that you use where you're from, but it's one that we use here every so often. And that elephant there certainly has got the worst overbite of any elephant I've ever seen. But she's still rather magnificent. She's got through quite a lot of her life. I think she's probably about 45 years old. And you can see on all of them that their hips are sticking out a bit, and that's possibly got quite a lot to do with the fact that they have experienced a lot of nutritional stress during the course of the dry winter months. And it's not going to change hugely until we get some really good rains, which will make the grass leap out of the ground. There's a little bit of green around the place, but because we had our last rains more than a month ago, and it's been really beastly hot over the last little while, so that flush of original green is starting to ebb slightly. But there's a beautiful young bull. You know he's a young bull, of course, by the roundness of his head. You see that, Brian?
I do.
That's obviously how we know. we just got spattered with mud there, and he's just exactly like a teenage boy. Right, we're just going to head straight back to Hayden quickly. The dogs are on the move. Enjoy it.
So folks, they've just gotten up. Have a look how close this is, VM, right to me here, just to the right. Look at this little puppy, right here. This is spectacular, everyone. Sorry, I'm a bit frantic with knowing what they're going to do. We're not going to follow them if they go into this on the other side of the road, but at the moment they look like they're just kicking back here. I thought I saw the adults over in the grass there, but I'm just going to have a look with my binoculars. They seem to be looking across that direction, and whether the parents come back and get them, I just have to try and figure that out. So we've just arrived. If you've just come and joined us now, we're sitting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 African wild dog pups. And it is absolutely amazing to be in the presence of this many puppies. We're just going to sit with them for a second. They're sort of not completely active, as I said, because it's a little bit hot, but they're getting a bit restless, I think, waiting. I'm just going to scan over the other side, folks, just to have a look. So VM will just show you these beautiful pictures for a second while I just have a little bit of a scan to see if I saw the adults over here. No, I think in the frantic sort of arrival, we saw so many dogs. I thought one of them was an adult that put its head up, but I think the situation that we are in is that the pups are waiting for the adults to return. Now, it depends on many things, whether they have a animal that they've hunted that's they'll take the pups to, and it's probably more likely than not. Or they may come back and feed the pups here, depending on what they catch. But my goodness, this is just too beautiful. They're milling about as well, so I'm not getting too nervy about them disappearing. They're just finding little bits of shade and investigating, as dogs do. You know, they're a litter of 10. I think it was 11. If any of you wonderful people out there have got any info on this pack, I'd love to hear, because you can help me out. I've never met this pack. I may have met the parents before over the past year in different situations, but I haven't been with these particular puppies. So any information from you wonderful people on Safari Live watching would be fantastic, and you can feed that through to us at #SafariLive or questions@wildearth.tv. they're just sitting in the shade there. We might just go a little bit closer, and just give me a second to move up a little bit closer. I think we've got a great opportunity to do that. They're very, very comfortable. They came running over to us, which was quite incredible. So let me just get into a better position for VM, and then we'll get to some questions. Easy, guys. Oh, this is just spectacular. I love this place. Easy, guys. There we go. Just all chilling in the shade, very relaxed. It's all right, guys, it's all right, no problem. It's all right, no problem. It's all right, all good, all good. A little bit of foliage in the way there, but I'm just going to, just reading the signals from them. We'll just let them get used to the vehicle a little bit, and then we'll make sure that we stay with them. They just found a little patch of shade there, which is quite nice. So beautiful to watch. They really are spectacular. I'm going to get just into a little bit better position. Easy, guys, it's all right, no problem. Just going to move up a little bit closer for my dear friend in the back that wants to take beautiful, beautiful pictures of you for our wonderful people. Look at that. Folks, what you are witnessing right now is quite a rare encounter. We are looking at an endangered species. We are looking at 10 of them. I'm going to have to just do another count, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 pups. Oh, I haven't seen a litter this big. Oh, my goodness. So... so beautiful. Just got a really lovely question from Charlie on Twitter. Welcome aboard, Charlie, and it's so great to have you witnessing this with us. This is going to be something that goes down in my lifetime as one of my most beautiful encounters with a litter, without their parents as well. So they're very, very chill. They're waiting for them to come back. And your question is related to that, what I just sort of talked about. Are they vulnerable to other predators whilst their parents are away? Well, the answer to that is absolutely 100%. One of the things they are very, very good at is they have an extraordinary sense of hearing, as you can see with those massive ears. And with 11 sets of those ears, 22 ears in total, there's a very, very good surround sound or sensory system going on there, and they will all be listening out for predators, and it can be anything, really, anything from hyena to lion to leopard, and you know, it really, and potentially other wild dogs as well. So they are vulnerable, but they are very alert and incredibly smart, and they will be constantly taking in the information. Sense of smell is exceptional, sense of hearing is exceptional, and their sense of eyesight is exceptional. So to answer your question, really, really important that they look after themselves and listen to what's around them. But yes, they are very vulnerable. even though they look very relaxed right now. Folks, it's not often that I click away on my camera, but this is one of those times that I do have to take some photos, as I said, for many reasons. But please excuse me for a second. I've just got to take a couple of shots of this beautiful boy looking right at me here. Well, folks, it's one of those afternoons. It's one of those magical afternoons, and that's what this place is so famous for. This is why Safari Live is one of the most unique products, unique projects, unique experiences on the planet. My enthusiasm, yes, you can hear it. It's oozing out of every pore at the moment. I can't tell you how excited I am. We've got to cross to James now because he's inundated with elephants down there. So, guys, we're going to sit with these animals, and I'll see you right now.
Giraffe. Hello, everyone. Wonderful that you've been watching those wild dogs whose parents, there's a giraffe also in the background there, whose parents were giving us the run around this morning. Wonderful that you've got to see the 10 pups. I believe there were 11 until fairly recently, so that's a little sad that they seem to have lost one of their number. But incredible sights here of number of different herds. This is probably the 4th herd of elephants that's come down to drink at this little water hole, just showing you how little water there is around. And of course there is the giraffe in the background having to wait his turn. The buffalo that was here has moved off in abject misery. He really did look a forlorn figure as he sort of wandered across the desolate reaches of what is the Boyatela Dam. You can see the dam wall there, and he's just beyond there, behind this elephant, lying in the full sun, looking quite miserable as he chews on his cud. The elephants are enjoying the mud, but equally they're now starting to get quite agitated about the clear, clean water that's coming out of the pipe that feeds this little pan. And there's still more elephants coming from our right-hand side. Now they seem to be drying up slowly, but that giraffe, if it thinks it's going to get a drink here, it's got another thing coming, I'm afraid. He's decided against it and is now moving off. Goodbye. Sorry, old boy, you'll have to come back later. This is just spectacular. It really is the most astonishing privilege to be able to spend time with these wonderful animals. And I think, as Peter said today, he said they're really intuitive, and I couldn't put it better myself. They're amazingly intuitive, and you get a real sense of what they're feeling just from being around them. And certainly to me, there's a real sense of relaxation here. Yes, there's a little bit of tension, but they're not communicating any kind of feeling of threat towards us, which is just the best way to watch elephants, of course. And they're all greeting each other there. You can see touching trunks, and you'll see the odd trunk going into the mouth. There we go, there's one. And that's how they kind of greet each other, and I'm sure it's got a lot to do with pheromones. Their mouth will have some kind of saliva in it, which will then sort of be processed by the organ of Jacobson, which is a very powerful organ that many mammals have, and that processes the pheromones and hormones that animals smell. This is just spectacular. And they've been remarkably patient, you know, over that little pipe that's presenting water to them. There doesn't seem to be a huge amount of fighting. Some of the youngsters get a little bit rambunctious when they go towards it, and then the mothers lift their feet and push them away. All their trunks, there we go. The oldest female there is just giving a little bit of discipline. She's the one with the teeth that could eat an apple through a tennis racket. She's definitely in charge. She's by far the largest cow there. So she will hold sway and discipline anybody who tries to get in her way. she's substantially older than the rest of these, and I suspect she's probably not, maybe might not be the matriarch of this very large herd, but she is certainly a senior leader. And 4 different groups have come past, but they could probably be considered part of the same herd, I suppose. And they'll go off and eat now after their evening drink, after their tea. And there, in the left-hand corner, we see the forlorn figure of that aging buffalo bull, and Brian and I both agreed that he looked like he'd lain down there as if to say, well, that's it, I've had enough. Should it all end now, that possibly couldn't be too soon. No chance of him joining up with the herd again. It's much too tiring. And the rest of his bulls have left him be. And every so often you can hear that coming from the elephants. They sound very different to their ears than to ours, because of course there is an infrasonic part of that, which means that it's very low sounding, low frequency sound that our relatively insensitive ears are unable to perceive. Okay, I think we should check in with those wild dog pups. You know, we see them so seldom, and so let's nip back to Hayden and see how he's doing with those pups, and especially if they go mobile, then it's going to be all action. So I'll send you back to Hayden and see you just now.
It sounds like it's all happening here on Juma at the moment. The elephant, very busy down with James, which is fantastic, and there's nothing like seeing elephants come down to drink, and numerous herds meeting each other, and very, very great social interaction. Well, if you've just joined us, we are sitting with an extraordinary situation here with 11 African wild dog pups waiting for their parents or the adults to come back from a hunt, or come and get them to go and feed. We're not really sure yet what's going to happen, but they're sitting pretty at the moment. They're in the shade, they're just chilling out. Many of them are lying down, settling, but you'll always watch as a couple of them are staying alert, and that's that instinctive behaviour to make sure that, as we answered Charlie's question earlier, watching for predators and just making sure at this age they're quite vulnerable. They're still quite quick, but they have to keep an eye out for predators. And it's partially also them looking out for their parents or the adults to return. Folks, you know, one of the most incredible experiences of working on this beautiful, beautiful project called Safari Live is that we interact with you. And when we interact with you, that makes the experience complete. Knowing that you are enjoying this as much as I'm enjoying this makes my day. And Leah, you've just fed us the most wonderful information. You have helped me know more about this animal, and thank you so much. Leah on Twitter has just told us that she has seen this pack about 2 weeks ago when she was recently down this way, and there is 11 pups and 11 adults. 11 adults! Can you imagine if 11 adults come back? You are really going to see Hayden turn and not be able to speak, that's for sure. 11 adults and 11 pups, come on. Thank you so much, Leah. Absolutely invaluable information. Great to have you on board. very beautiful just to sit with them, and just don't really have to add a lot of information at the moment, rather than just watching their antics, because some of them are a little bit more active than others, and some of them playing, and they really do form this tight knit pack, and that will grow as they grow. It's a very, very complex and extraordinary system that the wild dogs have, and they are probably, and they are the most successful hunters out of the large carnivores in Africa. I'm pretty sure, from what I remember reading, that there's been litters seen up to 18, or as I'm getting older, my memory's failing me a little bit, but I do think it was 18 to 20 animals, 20 pups have been recorded in one litter. Absolutely beautiful. And the interesting thing is too, they in many parts they'll have litters all year round. Oh goodness, Liam, look what I've just spotted. Liam, swing around here gently, mate. I've just spotted the adults over here to the right. Folks, we've got 3 adults coming. Oh my goodness. Here comes the pet rally. This is going to be where the adults look. Oh, I don't know what to focus on. We've got one side, we've got... Now, I'm hoping that these are the adults belonging to this pack, or maybe they're not. Don't know if they've seen each other. Yes, they are. I think they're a little bit concerned. Here comes the pups. It's all about to happen now, guys. Listen to this. It's okay, my friends, it's okay. Folks, if you think you're watching a documentary, you're not. You're watching this live on Safari Live. This is extraordinary. Oh my goodness. Now, let me just try and move forward a little bit, folks. I just wanted them to allow them to get that sort of display and behaviour out, rather than disturbing them, because it's quite a frantic situation, and I didn't want to distract any of them. I just want to let them settle down a little bit, and I want to move forward and give you a better shot, Liam. So this individual over the other side, let me just move forward a bit, folks, and see what I can do here. It's easy, guys. Easy, guys. It's all right, my friend. It's okay, Mama. It's okay, Mama. It's okay, Mama. It's okay, baby. No problem. It's all right. No problem. No problem. It's okay. Now, I'm only having a guess here, but it doesn't look like they've either had a successful hunt. I thought I saw them over there lying down, but I'm second guessing myself, because the pups would have been going over to the adults, I think, and interacting with them a bit more, whereas they were so astonished to see them come back. Firstly, they thought that they were another pack, and they did move away very quickly, the puppies, but VM was on the adults walking across, and So just an extraordinary time of not knowing what was going on. This is really going back to Charlie's first question when she was asking about predators coming, and they weren't sure if it was a predator. Then they realised that it was their relatives, mum and dad. How are the shots for you there, Liam? You want me to roll back a bit, mate, or are you happy?
You can try. It's going to be difficult. Let's wait. See where they go.
Okay. Well, folks, if you've just joined us, we are witnessing one of the most magnificent creatures on the planet in my books. We are witnessing a social interaction between a pack of African wild dog or African painted dog. I know Peter loves that name. It's his preferred name for them, which is equally acceptable. And loads of places call them painted dog as well. They've got some lovely names: wild dog, painted dog. And there's 3 adults, the alpha male and alpha female, and another adult, and there's 11 pups. We've just had the most beautiful encounter and sighting with these animals. It's just spectacular. Folks, what I'm going to do is give the Game Drive channel a call just to let some other vehicles know where we are to enjoy this experience with us. So please bear with me, and I'll... Ian, would you like me to roll down? Are you okay, mate? Got some nice adults just here.
Yeah, I think we're in the best position.
Okay, I'm just going to stay put, folks, and just... Attention all radios, HT here from WildEarth and Safari Live, just up on the Buffelshoek cut line towards Buffelshoek Dam with wild dog, 11 pups, 3 adults. Static, just going on the move now. Good afternoon, Jos. Just heading west now on Buffelshoek. They're just going down the main road. Only me on lock at the moment, Jos. You're more than welcome to join. Folks, I'm just going to turn around and just see what these guys get up to. So bear with me. I'm just going to reposition everyone. Anything on this planet that makes my heart rate hit 200. So I don't go much higher than 200 these days, or it's probably not a great thing. It's going to be seeing these animals, and they're backlit as well. They're backlit at the moment. They look beautiful, just lying on the cool of the road. We're going to get down to see them a little bit closer. Obviously, we'll give them nice space. Sunset and 14 African wild dog. My guess is... Oopsie, sorry. My guess is they are going to eventually hunt. I can just see the sort of behaviour happening from a couple of the adults, mainly 2 off over in the left of us, and you're just a bit out of shot at the moment, but they are looking, using those fantastic sensors, as I said. So I'm just going to roll down a little bit closer. Of course, I'm going to not go and change their behaviour. I want them to just feel comfortable with us, but I just want to get close enough so VM can see around this tree. There we go. Can you see that, mate, to your left? Do you see those 2 individuals? Sorry about the big pull up there, guys. So basically, I think the two over on the left are keeping an eye out, and those senses are extraordinary. Hearing, smell and sight, as I said. We'll stay nice and quiet, and we'll just see what happens here. Isn't this beautiful? Folks, I'm so pleased to be able to share this with you. To have you with me here means more to me than most things on the planet. To share these wildlife experiences on Safari Live is why we do this. This is what it's all about. This is exactly what it's all about. Oh, they're just everywhere. Backlit, afternoon golden light. Look at this adult just lying on the road here. It's still pretty hot. It was about 36 degrees Celsius, I think that's about 90 something Fahrenheit. I also mentioned, folks, that I don't normally take loads of photographs because I don't like you to have too many shutters going through the microphones, but I'm sure in this situation you'll forgive me. It's just, the light is just too beautiful, and these animals are just extraordinary. Well, we have an extraordinary question again, I think, from Isabella, and I'm pretty sure it's the same Isabella because the quality of your question last time, Isabella, was so fantastic. Isabella, please, just excuse me 1 second whilst I head down and follow these puppies, and I'm going to come to your question, my friend, okay? Isabella's 4, and she's asked a super question, but I just want to keep up with these pups. Now, I think I did see... I'm going to cut across here, Liam. So folks, just bear with us. And Isabella... Oh, okay. Right, that is fantastic. I saw another vehicle over there. It's James. Brilliant. Okay, let's cut across to James. He's going to have a better angle on this, and I'm just going to go around and reposition myself. Let's cross to James, guys.
This is just fantastic. Can you believe it? Look at these little puppies coming towards us. All 11 of them. Spectacular sighting of the whole magnificent pack. Thank you, Hayden, and thank you, beautiful Kruger National Park, for what must be my favourite animals. Oh, this is just spectacular. So Hayden is just the other side of this fire break where we are now, and the smell coming off them, although it is probably would be horrendous in your living room, out here is the most spectacular thing. Oh, it's wonderful. I can't believe this. Oh, this is so cool. There's nothing to say, really. I'm just going to roll slowly back. So just to keep you posted, everyone, obviously lots of people will want to see the wild dogs. At the moment it's just Hayden and I, and we might try and bring the drone in to have a quick look from above, but if we have to move out, one of us might have to leave and then the other will stay. Look at this. This is just beyond wonderful. Alright, I'm just going to turn around very quickly. Sorry about that, Brian. Sun is beginning to set. Now, a very brilliant brilliant question from Barbara about how they feed these puppies. And you want to know, Barbara, do they... Oh, they're all heading up there now. Don't they eat and then regurgitate for the pups? Barbara, they do, but when they get to this age, they'll do a bit of regurgitation, and they'll also encourage the pups to move with them. We're going to go straight across to Hayden on the other side of the fire break. He's got a better visual. Just see you just now.
So folks, we're just going down parallel with them, giving them space, of course, and they're just getting down to the bottom of this little tiny dry creek bed here, or something we call a drainage line, and you can tell they're getting more active as the afternoon shadows have lengthened and the temperatures dropped. They're just getting more active and more inquisitive, and the adults are spending... The pups are still sort of just investigating things around, but the adults are being much more serious about the afternoon, and they're just off to the left. So these dogs are crisscrossing a little bit at the moment, but the adults are actually going back over into Juma, which is exactly what we want, closer to James, which is very exciting stuff. Puppies are with me, and I just want to go back to Isabella. Isabella, you are fantastic. Isabella, your question was I sitting there watching the puppies for their parents? Well, you know what, Isabella, I wasn't really, but I think sometimes you like to think you were, that's for sure. But no, Isabella, what I was doing was just sitting there observing them, and that's what we do down here. And their mum and dad and that other adult that came through would be keeping a pretty close eye on them at the moment. But those puppies also have to learn how to look after themselves sometimes. So as they get older, they learn how to look after themselves, and they get stronger and stronger and smarter, and hopefully survive and grow up into big, beautiful adults like their mum and dad. But what a brilliant question, Isabella. And I think I had a question from you 2 days ago, and I still haven't forgotten how good that one was, matey. So lovely to hear you again, matey, and thank you for being right with us here on Safari Live. So they're just down in this little drainage line here, folks. You can see one of the youngsters is coming back out on the road. It's super cool. If you just pan up a little, tilt up a little bit for him, you've got James poised at the top of the hill there. We've got this covered. These animals are very, very special to us, and you know what? I tell you what, gosh, this guy's... this is just extraordinary. You know, when I got on a plane in London to come down here, there was one creature that I just die to see. I just cannot wait to see. And you know, often you come and you don't see, because they travel vast distances, wild dogs, and they, you know, so you can go weeks, months sometimes without seeing them. But every time I've come to Juma and I've been on Safari Live, I've seen wild dog, and it just keeps delivering. And what does that say? That says that it's a healthy habitat, it's a rich habitat that supports everything, the whole gamut, the whole species list here, and of all the big carnivores. And wow, we are lucky. Let's move on down and see what they're up to. Okay, we're going to link to James now, and I'm going to cross over to him for the simple reason he's with the adults, and I'm going to stay with the puppies, and we'll see how we go. We'll be right back with you. I don't know, I'm looking at camera, I'm not looking at camera. I'm so excited, folks. Let's cross to James.
Obviously on the hunt. Whether those pups will go static and lie down and wait for them like they clearly were this morning. Remember, we didn't see them this morning. We only had the 3 adults. These adults are now moving through this firebreak area, and they're moving through here and not through, say, the bush to the left of me, because this is open, and wild dogs like to hunt in the open. They're not great in the very thick woodland. They've spotted something. If suddenly you're thrown back into your chair by the G-force of my acceleration, you'll know that they've spotted something, and we're going to try and follow them. This is just so spectacular to have 2 of us here watching these beautiful dogs. It's just so special. And the other one, there we go. Brian, of course, is very sharply eyed. You might also... We're going to try something very special now, everyone. I'm not sure if it'll work or not, but Drone Commander Andrew Francis is about to deploy his drone over this pack. And we can have all three of us with this lot without any other game drive. What an incredible privilege that's going to be. There's a large termite mound here, and there we go. We've got past it. All three just listening, smelling, seeing what might be around for them to eat. There we go. Right, we're going off to an ad break. We'll catch you just now. Enjoy. Obviously, you're not at an ad break, everybody. You're still with us. You can hear perhaps a swarm of bumblebees. That is Drone Commander Andrew Francis. A very quiet drone, this one. And so we're very privileged to have it here, and we're just getting it working. And I don't know how many of you have watched or seen Andrew before. You've definitely heard me make mention of him. But he is like a cat that has got the cream, as it were, with his new toy, enjoying it profoundly. So you can now see this incredible shot that we have of all of us with the dogs. This is so spectacular. Oh no, they're going into Buffelshoek, which is a bit sad. Sorry about that, everybody. I'm afraid that's probably going to be the end of the adults. So the adults are now going into Buffelshoek, sadly, where they'll probably hunt for those 11 hungry mouths that they have to feed. I think Hayden is still with the others. I'm not sure, but if he isn't, he will be doing his best to be with them. So there's some zebra running in there, Brian. Do you see them there? Obviously, a zebra is much too large a prey for 3 wild dogs to take down. The dogs are still here, so we're going to stay along with them. They are there. Here we go. Well done, Brian. Good job. Here we go. The dog's running back here, chasing the zebra. It is, of course, a totally ridiculous thing for it to be doing. A zebra, if that zebra got hold of the dog would be in a great deal of trouble. The zebra are particularly vicious when being attacked, but the dog is obviously much faster and is probably just testing the waters, as it were. There are the other two. Now, of course, they could come herring onto Juma again at any second. We are on the cut line between the two properties. So that's Buffelshoek where we are now. We are visually trespassing. And then to the left of your screen is, well, no, to the left of your screen is basically along the cut line. We're looking straight into Buffelshoek. And there the zebra in the background. Look at that. 2 species shot. Well done, Brian. This is just too wonderful. And to have this twice in a day is just wonderful. Right, they're coming slowly this way, you know, which is very exciting. Very exciting indeed. So you're now obviously bird's eye view. Drone Commander Francis is doing a fine job of following the dogs with us as they head off on the hunt. Now, what I would suggest they do, I suggest deeply that they come towards us onto Juma. That would be a far better idea. on, fella. Nothing to eat there. Come this side. Oh, look, the zebra's coming. The zebra's chasing it. Dog coming, run straight towards us. The dog is only about 15 meters away from us. There he is. And the zebra was not having any nonsense. We want to be very wary of those zebra. Let's carry on. Just follow them gently down the road here. Crossing through this dry riverbed, aka drainage line out here, we call them. Still just parallel with the road. I bet they wish they could see what Andrew could see with his drone. Okay, I'm afraid these dogs are now heading north into Buffelshoek. One of them is still heading west parallel with the road. The others seem to be now heading in a northerly direction, which is a bit sad. So, a recap for those of you who were away there on the TV broadcast. We've been following the dogs. They've come across into Buffelshoek, unfortunately, the three of them. They've left the 10 puppies behind with Hayden. I don't think he's got sight of them anymore, and so we're following the 3 adults as they move along here parallel with our boundary, where unfortunately we can't sort of follow them any closer than we are now. And you can obviously see some through Andrew's drone shot, and he is now quite a long way into Buffelshoek. So I'm afraid from a vehicle point of view, that's probably all we're going to be able to give you. We've got the drone in sight. But I'm afraid they're disappearing off into Buffelshoek, which is a bit sad. I can't see them anymore, but I can see where the drone is. And so I'm a bit unsighted as to exactly what they're doing. But from the speed with which that drone is moving through the sky, they are now moving at quite a speed. This is so wonderful that we're able to bring you this amazing sighting. Well, I can't actually see it at all. All I can see is that drone, and how wonderful to be able to bring you the bird's eye view of this wonderful, wonderful African predator. So just to give you a little bit of an update as to what's going on here, those 3 adults will go off hunting. They'll try and find something for the 11 pups to eat while they're away. They'll bring some back, and if they kill something close enough by, then what they will do is bring the food back towards the pups, or take the pups towards the food, dependent on where they kill. And you know, they have a 70% success rate killing, so I think what you'll find is that they may well kill tonight. Would you excuse me 1 second? I'm just quickly going to get onto the radio and give an update to what's going on with the dogs. Those animals have gone north into Buffelshoek, around about Mvubu Road, and just to the west of that position we've lost visual. I'm afraid they've now gone quite a long way in. Wonderful. Let's head across to Hayden. I think he's still got the pups, actually, so we'll go back across to him, and I'll stand by here and see if the adults don't come back. See you just now.
Well, very interesting behaviour, folks, and you can see that there's this incredible connection and communication that they have through the pack. The parents have gone off on hunt. You were with James and saw that, and those incredible visuals there, and they've gone on to another property, but the pups are all with us. Now the pups are sitting here looking up at the drone, but they're completely cool. They're absolutely fine, and their little ears going up there like that, but they're just going to be sitting here. So we're just going to So the adults have gone into Buffelshoek, the property next door, and we're just going to hang out with the pups for a little bit. 85% of the hunts are successful, and I think we touched on it earlier, but it's a very, very high percentage rate for a large carnivore, and that comes down to their incredible hunting prowess. They don't have to rely on stealth and camouflage. I mean, they're pretty... If you have a look at the markings, some people might think that's camouflage, but you can see the dogs running through the bush quite easily. So it just is testament to how good a hunter they are. Strategy, speed, endurance, all these sorts of things play a massive part in the hunt. So I'd be really surprised if the parents don't get something. But as I said, it could be within the 15% of the unsuccessful hunts. These puppies will just wait here until one of the adults comes back and gets them, or the mother comes back and regurgitates for them, depending on the size of the animal. But interesting that it's just like they all got told, wait here, stay here, don't talk to anyone, just stay right here. And that's exactly what they're doing. Very, very beautiful to watch. We just got a fantastic question and comment from Matthew, and Matthew's 9 years of age. Matthew, thank you so much, buddy, for watching. It's so great to know that your favourite animal is one of my favourite animals as well, so we've got a lot in common there, mate. Wild dog, you're really excited about it like I am, as you've heard, and you want to know, it's a good question, very good question, do the adults have to hunt a lot? And the answer to that, Matthew, is yes. There's a lot of mouths to feed there, and they would probably, I'd say, hunt every day, particularly because there's only 3 adults. They wouldn't be getting as many big animals or prey animals as they would if there was more of them, but they would probably hunt every day and then move on to the next place. Remembering also, Matthew and everyone, that these are diurnal, meaning that they are awake in the day and they sleep through the night. They have to find a really, really good place, and the mother and the parents would probably have numerous den sites that they could go to. I don't know where this pack's den is, so they could be quite close to it for all I know. And they would probably retreat into that in the dark. So we will stick with them for a bit, but we're not going to ever put lights on them or anything like that. The puppies particularly, with no protection from their adults, we would not do that. So we're going to leave them till just gets a bit darker, and then we'll move on and let them be and not attract attention to them. But great question, Matthew. Fantastic, mate, and great to have you on board, buddy. We've got a favourite animal together, mate. Hope you stay with us and keep watching Safari Live, mate. Got a really good question from Ellen in Arkansas. Welcome, Ellen, and thank you very, very much for being with us on this very special afternoon here, one that I'll never forget. And your question is, can I explain some of the hunting techniques and how they're different from other predators? You'll find that most predators, well, not most, but several predators, particularly the cats, rely on stealth and camouflage. Let's just take a couple of those. Obviously, the supreme, the most elite of all the cats, and one of my other favourites is leopard, and many of our team, leopards are high on our list of favourites. stealth. They are the kings and queens of stealth, and that meaning that they utilize their ability to stalk and get very, very close to their prey animal and then strike, and the prey animal just doesn't have the ability to escape, and they can get very, very close. Lion, they do a stealthy sort of stalk as well, mainly the females, but not always. I'll tell you what, I'm going to come back to your question, Ellen, really, really quickly. I want to finish answering it, but just have to throw quickly over to James and the guys and Andrew flying the drone, because I think there's something spectacular to see over a little bit further down the line. So we'll stay with the dogs, and we'll be right back with you. Ellen, I'm coming back to you, I promise.
Hi everyone, just a beautiful quick scene of the dust hanging in the last embers of what has been a magnificent early summer's day, and that dust of course has been left by what seems to be about 400 buffalo that have just disappeared over the edge of that dam wall. They are in Buffelshoek, so we can't go after them, and the signal on my vehicle is just a little bit dodgy, and so we can't really move at the moment. I'm in fact moving very gingerly in my seat. There was also of course a herd of elephants, and what alerted us to their position was their trumpeting. They were extremely upset, I think, by the presence of all those buffalo in the water, and so we've had that amazing sighting of the elephants drinking out of that tiny little pond just near Vuyatela, and these chaps of course would get into this water and probably swims, love to swim, especially when it's hot, again, a bit like people do. But at the moment there, you can kind of see the buffalo there. Can you see them there? I can just see them kind of...
Way of a cue for me to go back to the dogs, just turn back to them.
Okay.
I'll go back to them.
So, to answer your question, Ellen, the other 2/3 of it, it's really interesting to know that these are the most successful hunters in Africa of the carnivores, and the reason they are is because of this huge communication that they have. Their tactics, they adjust their hunt as well according to the terrain. So depending on what sort of terrain they're in, they'll make a system to work more successfully than any other predator. Numbers obviously mean great success as well, and this stealth and endurance. I've actually witnessed a hunt once when they were chasing an impala down. This was in Zimbabwe, and they were chasing an impala down, and there was other antelope running in front of them, but the lead of the pack, and I was pretty sure that was the alpha male at the time, it was fixated on that particular impala. Other antelope were running across and running through, and the rest of the pack just focused on that impala that the alpha male was chasing and hunting. So the commitment that they have towards the leader, the commitment they have to the communication is paramount. It cuts out everything else, and for me, that's what sets them above the rest. They're a very, very different carnivore, very, very different creature, and I just love them. So what we're witnessing here is just them waiting for the adults to come back, and the adults will come back to collect them, that's for sure. One adult might come back and take them, or the three might come back if they don't have any success, as I said, or regurgitate for them, but we will soon see. Excuse me. Oh, just swallowed a fly. This is just so beautiful to sit with, folks. I hope you're okay with us just being here. I know they're flat dogs, or log dogs as we like to call them sometimes, as opposed to our flat cats. But if it's okay, let us know. Tweet us a couple of messages at #Safari Live, and let us know what you think. I just want to sit with these guys because it is quite spectacular to maximise our chances of seeing the adults come back. It's worth just sitting for me, but I'm absolutely happy to move on as well. It sounds like most of you would like to stay with the pups, and I'm really happy for that. But you remember, you are on our vehicle. You are on this 4x4 with us, and we would always ask our guests if they want to move on or if they'd like to sit, and that's what it's all about. It's exactly the same. You are in control of this with us, and if we're happy to sit, if you're happy to sit, we certainly are. They're too beautiful, and you rarely see 11 like this. I was talking about them before, travelling extraordinary distances. Sometimes there's been records of travelling 40, 50 kilometres, or now I've got to do a conversion. 40 kilometres, I think about 25 miles. And those traversing times is when food is a bit more scarce. So if food is really abundant in an area, they won't have to travel as far. And when the rains come and the impala lambs come and the zebra foals and the wildebeest calves are born, they don't have to travel as far because there's a huge abundance of food. But at the moment, they can travel up to great distances to find food. What I'm going to do is just cross over to James and see what he's up to. I think he's got something quite special for us. These little flat doggies, or flat puppies, are going to be here for a bit, I think. So I'll come back to you if anything happens, and enjoy what James has got to show you.
Welcome back, everyone. I hear you've been having an absolutely fantastic time with Hayden and James and wild dogs. I'm really jealous. They are my favorite animal. So on a slightly more sedate note, while we've been meandering through the bush in search of leopard, which unfortunately have been evading us, I've come across a nice porcupine quill. It's quite a big, thick one. And I mean, if we look at that tip, it is incredibly sharp. And there's a big misconception that porcupine shoot their quills. They don't. So basically, if they were approached by a predator, they would face their bum towards them with all these sharp things sticking out, and actually they also rattle them together to try sound more intimidating, sort of and point the sharp end, the business end, back towards the predator. They do fall out from time to time, and this is one of the reasons porcupines eat a lot of bones that we find lying around the bush, is they obviously need quite a lot of calcium to keep on producing something like this. And we only have 2 species of porcupine in Africa. The one we've got here is the southern porcupine, or the southern African porcupine, and that occurs in the sort of more arid areas, so South Africa through up the east coast into the Masai Mara, Kenya, Tanzania, and then in the rainforest there's a little one called the brush-tailed porcupine. But as a kid, these were really, really valuable to me. What we used to use them for is fishing floats. So they make really, really good floats when you're fishing for tilapia, nice and light, so when the fish pulls and the porcupine quill stands up straight and starts bobbing. So I think I'll add this into my collection. And also, they do make quite nice decorations. but we're going to carry on walking and see what else we can find in this area. I think I'm going to keep this porcupine quill close. Oh, now all around the bush, especially with hyenas and things around, these guys, bones and stuff get spread all over the place. I'm going to put my porcupine quill down. Here we have what's to be quite an old Inyala bull horn, and the reason I say he's quite old is we look at this, specifically this tip here, and you can see it's very worn and smooth, and the white's starting to show. I'm not actually sure how this Inyala passed away, but almost certainly from a predator in this area, and there's still a little bit of sinew. Doesn't smell too bad, so it's probably a year or two old already. And you can see, oh, speaking of porcupines, I'm just going to turn this around, and there we go. Gnawing marks from a porcupine, keeping up his calcium content to keep producing quills. And hyenas will often drag these all over the place. And strange enough, porcupines also will move bones from place to place and try to keep them closer to their dens, which are old aardvark burrows. But really nice, big Inyala bull. So probably quite old towards the end of his life, and maybe dry season, lacking a bit of condition, something might have caught him. But it's incredible how you can see that hyenas have eaten the rest of his face and even right into the brain cavity. So as we see on buffalo, it's too thick for the hyenas to get to, but on the smaller antelope and that, hyenas can get almost everywhere. Anyway, we'll leave this out there because it's definitely not done. There's still lots of different animals that'll utilize it, like that porcupine. We're going to start making our way back towards the vehicle, the lights dropping, and us as human beings are not adept at walking around at night. We're the dominant diurnal predator, and at nighttime we become very much weak and targets for things like lions. So we're going to walk back to where our vehicle is parked, so it's still quite a little bit of a walk to us, but don't worry, we'll get there way before dark. But we're going to hand you back off to Hayden, who's still with those incredible wild dog pups.
Mate? They are really alert, but still chilling out, waiting for their adults to come back. Obviously, as the night starts to fall, they will find themselves a little bit more, even more vulnerable, and they have to watch it a little bit. We've just got another vehicle with us here, but that's all good. Absolutely no problem whatsoever.
Just watch your head.
Sorry, I'll get my head out of the way there. Apologies about that. What a perfect example or display of those magnificent ears. And those ears will get much bigger and are an incredibly important part of their anatomy. And you can imagine, if you actually cup your hands up next to your ears when you're outside next time, have a little listen and see how much that helps you. And that's pretty much emulating a wild dog's ear. It gathers more information and processes it down into your ear canal there, takes it down in, and this is what these wonderful ears do for them. They've got an absolutely incredible sense of hearing. Now, I did spend a bit of time living in Zimbabwe years ago, and I worked on a beautiful conservancy there called the Savi Valley Conservancy, and I was living in a property and working with rhinoceros and a few other different species. And it was an interesting thing when I was there that there was wild dog, and we didn't see them very often, but one night I was coming along a road coming home from a friend's place, and it was a full bright moonlit night, and sure enough, over the crest of this hill came sorry guys came wild dog, a pack of wild dog over the hill in the moonlight. Now wild dog are diurnal as a cheetah, and we have seen them at night, which goes against what many of the books say. But it was quite an extraordinary thing to see these wild dogs walking along the dirt road in the moonlight. Sorry, Viv, I'm just going to get out of your way there, mate. And Charlotte wants to know, your question really is about if there is a dominancy amongst the pups, and there'll definitely be a dominancy building or growing between them, and that social structure will start to evolve over time. It's very, very complex how it works. The alpha female is in charge of what goes on in the birthing sort of arena, and these pups grow older, whereas opposite to what hyena are quite aggressive to their siblings, and I've seen or heard of amazing things where they're fighting in their dens at days old for dominancy. But these guys the social structure is incredibly important to them, so a cohesive unit is very, very important. But there will be a hierarchy as time goes on. So I've just had another vehicle arrive, folks. Always really important to share these incredible encounters with as many of the lodge's guests as we can, and there's always a rule of only 3 of us allowed on the one sighting, so we don't overwhelm the animals. And as you can see, they're not overwhelmed at the moment. They're very relaxed, but they all are log dogs at the moment. Just got an interesting question from Eddie. And Eddie, you've asked whether the adults have moved their pups into the Juma reserve where we're on now because of the line activity, maybe on Buffelshoek and other areas. Well, it's pretty hard to say, Eddie, but what I will say is that the parents will put their dogs in their pups in an area where they know. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at this alert couple looking this direction and wondering if their parents have come back. But they will put them down in a space that they know is open and probably the safest that they can. But you know what, I think the pups also decide on that. The parents give them the nod basically and say stay here, and they take off, and these pups will eventually start to trail behind their parents. I keep on saying parents, I do apologise, the adults, because one of the other adults may come back and get the pups and take them to a kill, which Peter and I have seen happen right in front of our very eyes 12 months ago when we were on Buffelshoek Dam and witnessed the kill live, which was an incredibly interesting couple of hours, and a very, very, or what we would call hard to watch experience, but it was nature and it was happening right in front of our very eyes. It was raw and real and honest, and we saw these two adults go and take an impala out of the dam after a long battle, and then one of the adults ran off and got the pups and came and brought the pups to the kill, and they definitely had a fantastic feed. I love that when they've all got their ears up like that. So as VM just pans across there, you see the extent of this incredible litter of pups. The reason why I just want to wait a little bit longer, if it's okay with everyone, because you just don't know what can happen, and I want to see if these adults come back, because it is quite spectacular. When the adults came back before, I just want to correct myself on something that I said. I thought the adults were there, and I talked about that thing called the pet rally. The pet rally actually only occurs when the adults are sleeping with one another. They're all lying down resting. Not a returning pack of adults. The pet rally is after a big long sleep in the heat of the day. They wake up and they start to greet each other. It's normally based around either the alpha male or female, but then what they'll do is start to get really, really excited, similar to what they did. But I just want to just make sure I differentiate that for you. Pet rally normally happens after a big rest. What you saw was that that welcome home by the pups to the parents. Well, it's quite incredible to watch, isn't it? Just to be in the presence of these guys, and it is getting darker. We will move off shortly. I don't want to distract these guys or draw attention to them without their parents being here. So let's just play it by ear for a few more minutes. I think we've got a question coming through. Oh, lovely, lovely. Tell you what, we have some really, really special kids watching today. Kids that are asking super questions, very, very related, or what's a big word called pertinent, but related to the question, which is a super thing, really super thing. And Cameron, your question is, were the pups getting hurt? Were they crying when those adults returned when we were up over the other side there? Absolutely not. Those little squeaks and squeals might sound like crying and getting hurt, but it's a very, very interesting little squeak and shrill that they make. There's no one getting hurt there whatsoever. Lots of communication, lots of bonding, lots of welcoming, and lots of excitement. But fantastic question, Cameron, and thank you very much for watching, buddy. Great to have you here on Safari Live. Folks, I think I'm probably going to give it another maybe 5 minutes before I move off, and I know you understand. It's all for the right reasons. It's for the welfare of these animals, and still got a bit of light, you can see, but want to make sure we just do the right thing by them always.
We've got a new viewer, and I want to welcome you, Lucy, all the way from Scotland. How fantastic to have you on board with us. Isn't this fantastic that you can interact with us live in Africa right now? Thank you so much for watching, matey, and welcome aboard. And I think it was Lisa in Washington State as well. You have a question, and that question is, what's the mortality rate? Well, it really does differentiate hugely in different areas where predator numbers are great, or there's a big concentration of wild dogs. Other wild dogs will meet another pack and you might lose individuals. So many varying contributing factors to that. There's another one which I will add to it, and that is that these... Sorry, Lisa, I'm going to just stop for a second because the pups just got very alert. And they're listening to something. Okay, they've relaxed now. The situation with them going onto farmland, and you'll always have that around the planet. It doesn't matter where you are, Lisa. You're always going to have some form of human-animal conflict where farmland meets wildlife reserves. So that has to be managed, and you have to play the role of both people, the farmers and the wildlife managers. But sadly, some situations occur where wild dogs will be persecuted because they do find domestic stock very easy to hunt down, and it's a very, very tricky discussion, but there's many contributing factors. So habitat loss would probably be one of the biggest contributing factors to the numbers and demise, but mortality rates will really differ depending on predators and concentrations of other dogs on the area. Great question, Lisa, and thank you for watching. Well, folks, I'm going to make an executive decision here, and I'm going to let these boys and girls be. And I'm going to say thank you to you wonderful creatures for letting us be with you so long. I can't tell you how incredible it feels to be with these dogs. And the other vehicle has really agreed. When I hear someone else start up, we both know we're doing the right thing. We're doing the right thing in letting these animals have their time. They've been extraordinary giving us. So I'm just trying to reverse. Let me just put some reversing lights on. That always helps. That's good. That's a bit better. A bit more light on the subject. Let me just reverse out of here and get on the flat, and then I can throw a link over to my dear friend, the formidable James Hendry, who I did have the great pleasure of spending an evening discussing life and the universe in a public house in the United Kingdom only a few weeks back. He's a wonderful guy. Let's cross over and see what he's up to.
Hello, everyone. We are not just bumbling about in the dark. Oh no, we are spotting things. Now there, illuminated by the LED light at the front of Wendy, is a chameleon of the flap-necked variety. We've just bumped into it, and I haven't put the spotlight on it because I'm hoping it's going to maintain. Now you can already see its color changing. See that? So it immediately becomes aware that it's got light on it, you see, and what that means is that it starts to change color, becoming less of that sort of luminous minty green and turning to a more olivey elephant poo colored green. Beautiful. So that's a flat-necked chameleon, a youngish one. They can get up to, say, half a foot big in this particular area. That's 15 centimeters. And it's the only chameleon species that we get here, the flap-necked chameleon. And it's called a flap-necked chameleon. We can't really see from here because when it's really irritated, what it does is it Andrew will just, at least Brian will just reverse onto me, so I'm going to show you the flapping neck of the flap-necked chameleon. I think there are two reasons for it being called a flap-necked chameleon. It has got kind of a flap at the back here, but when they're irritated, what they do is they splay their throats out, and it sort of turns, it's white skin normally, but when it pushes it out, there are kind of yellow indentations there that indicate extreme irritation, and you don't really want a chameleon irritated with you, not necessarily because they're particularly dangerous, but because, well, it's just not nice to irritate things out here. And that's why it's called a flap-necked chameleon. Now I'm going to be silent for about 20 seconds, and what I want you to listen to is what I'm listening to, and then I'll explain a little bit about it. So what you had there was crickets. You can hear them, they're the kind of background noise. There were some cicadas going tick, 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 tick. Lots of different crickets going, and no birds. We're in that changing of the guard time. When the francolins have stopped calling their last, they've gone to roost. We're waiting for the nightjars and the owls to take over the chorus of the night. Such a perfect time of day this. Right, let us drive slowly on. We're heading towards Treehouse Dam. If you do lose our signal, I apologize profusely, but of course standing by to talk to you if you do lose me is the quite astonishing Hayden Turner, who took me out for an evening in London when I was last there, and we had a very good time. And what a privilege it is to be working with him here on my patch, as it were. Well, not my patch, I guess it's our patch. In fact, it's not my patch at all. So, Janine, while we're driving along in the darkness here, you want to know what are the actual days we can see the National Geographic broadcasts. Janine, it's going to be on the 13th and 14th of this month, so I think that's Tuesday and Wednesday. Is that correct, Ryan? Unless I've gone stark raving mad. So 13th and 14th, 6 o'clock, sorry, it's Monday and Tuesday, yes, it'll be Monday night for you and Tuesday morning for us. So that's exactly what's going to happen in America there. 6 o'clock our time, which I think, if I'm not horribly mistaken, is 12 o'clock in Eastern Standard Time in the States, and you can work out your times from there. So that's 12 o'clock in the evening in the east coast of the States. And then that'll be on your Monday night, so going into your Tuesday morning, obviously Monday night on the west coast, and probably in the mountains and in the middle too, and that'll be for an hour, so from 12 to 1 or 6 to 7 as it is here. And then the next day, same thing, Wednesday morning for us, Tuesday evening for you on the east coast of the States, same time. So that's what it'll be, just for an hour, and the rest of the time the internet broadcast will carry on as normal. You can still send through your questions. Please don't be tempted to stop sending your questions. We still want to hear from you. You can take the lead, basically. So we'll have a whole lot of new viewers with us, and they won't be nearly as experienced as some of you are. And so you can take the lead, send through some questions. Can't guarantee we'll answer them, of course. But help us along through it. Help us develop what we think is an amazing product, and what you have all helped build into something that we truly love and enjoy every day of our lives. And we're hoping that after the TV broadcast we'll get a whole lot more audience and a whole lot more interaction and a whole lot more people loving the African wild, because it's so important, basically not just for our enjoyment, that's obviously a huge part of it, but also hugely important for the conservation of Africa's wildlife. And indeed all wildlife. Any time spent in the wilderness is good. And And then Linda, just to confirm for you, the next drive will indeed only be half an hour. So the next drive tomorrow morning, I'm afraid, people, you've only got 30 minutes of us. We are then going to go into a sort of large-scale dress rehearsal for what we have to do on Monday night / Tuesday morning and the next day. And so tomorrow, please join us for half an hour from 5:30 to 6 o'clock if you happen to be getting up for work or about to go to bed, or perhaps you're an insomniac, or like Brian, a bit of a sleepwalker. Then you're welcome to join us for that half hour, and then we're going to head off, I'm afraid, to do a fairly lengthy rehearsal after that. I'm not sure exactly what's going to be the status quo on our Monday morning, but we'll let you know. That'll probably depend quite largely on what happens tomorrow. Of course, any other questions you want to ask us about this broadcast, please do. So sorry, Rosie, C and Sharon, you seem to have been offended slightly by my dishevelled appearance. My collar was up. It wasn't entirely without purpose, Rosie and Sharon. I did that because, of course, the sun was beating down when we went out on drive, and I thought it might protect the back of my neck. But fair point. I will make sure it doesn't happen again. I will iron it flat and possibly safety pin it to the back of my neck. Get Brent Smith to staple it there. He'll take great pleasure in that. He'll giggle heartily. Right, we're going to head across to Hayden, see what he's finding in this evening, and I'll see you a little bit later.
Folks, that was one of the most special wild dog pup encounters I've had in a long time, so thank you so much for being with us, and I really enjoyed that. We shared that together. I'll never forget it. And we've just come away from them. Who knows, the adults might be back by now. And we were just talking, Liam and I were just saying, you know what, last time we drove down this road we saw a leopard. Can you imagine? Stranger things have happened. You don't know what's around the next corner. Oh, what a wonderful afternoon. I have just had the best time with you, and this has been a really, really great day. Made my day. I've had my doggies. Now, a little bit of information that I want to pass on to you. I think James did before, and I was going to do it as well, but I just got caught in the moment with 11 pups and 3 adults. You will forgive me for not passing this information on, but tomorrow we're going to have to cut our drive short. We really apologise about it, but James has given you the times, and it'll only be a half an hour drive, sadly, because we are rehearsing for our big Nat Geo TV shows, which you'll all be hopefully watching as well. It'll be online, exactly the same. We will have
Hello again. We are continuing in much the same vein as we were. Sorry about the immediate come across to us. Never mind. We are still on the search for the creatures of the night, and I'm actually just going to stop here for a listen. There's something called a rain locust calling over there, and it's going. It's very subtle. There's an owl calling as well. Yeah, that's the pearl-spotted owl going. over there a rain locust. And we also had the call of a water or spotted dickhawk. I can't tell the difference. No, it's a water dickhawk, sorry. It's going much louder than the pearl spotted owl. Lovely sounds of the night. So we've come down into this area because, of course, the last time we saw Karula's tracks, Karula, an 11-year-old female leopard. Oh, there's the dickhawk again, or thick knee as it's now called. And we've come into this area just hoping to see if we don't bump into her perhaps on the road. Obviously I don't really want to bump into her. I'd like to see her. Right, here we go. Just continue on our merry way. It always amazes me how quickly it gets dark here compared with the northern hemisphere. Well, not the northern hemisphere, but the higher latitudes. We tend to be in the northern hemisphere when we're in higher latitudes. Right, we're coming out onto Twin Dams Road now. And the last time we saw a leopard here was with Brian and I, and we saw Quarantine, and he made the kill of a duiker just nearby here. Not a very nice evening for the duiker. In fact, the worst possible evening, but a perfect ending to our day. And of course, the other thing that happens in the summer night is the ubiquitous attack of the insects. Hello Sarah in Ohio, age 17. It's been a while since we've heard from you. You always ask an extremely astute question or two, and this one of course is no different. You want to know, are all the lions still on Buffelshoek? Where are they? What are they doing? Sarah, there have been no lion sightings reported on the radio today at all. There have been a few tracks reported, but nothing in the way of actual sightings. I'm going to nip through this dip here. You may lose us, so I'm going to not speak until we're through the dip, and then I'll carry on with your questions, Sarah. Okay now. No lions reported today. We heard very dim murmurings in the far southeast this morning, but nobody from Cheetah Plains, which is in that region, or in Coral, have reported seeing any today. So I don't think.
We're up on Quarantine now, folks. It's always a great place to come. I know Peter loves to come up this place and have a bit of a look around. I know most of the wonderful people that I work with like this spot late at night and or as dark falls. And the reason being is you do get very, very confident predators walking through here. It's an area where certain species, particularly impala, will come out into open areas to get a little bit more of a safe zone to spend the night. They'll be on the move, they're very alert. When I say on the move, they'll be sort of getting short rests, but it's a much more open area for them to detect a predator if it was to come, as opposed to being in very, very thick vegetation. So it's always worth coming up here. And sometimes we see hyena as well, and you just never know. But I think I didn't get a chance to quickly finish. We will be only doing a half-hour broadcast tomorrow, and I know it's really tricky because I know everyone loves to watch, and I love everyone watching, and we all do. But we have to rehearse these Nat Geo shows and get them really nice and tight. And we've got a few little surprises up our sleeve. So let's see what happens there. But just to let you know, because we love to keep you well informed. Nice just to scan through here, just to give you a little bit of a sensory update. It's probably about 30 to late 20s, 30 degrees, balmy as anything. Really balmy evening, feels beautiful, a proper balmy African beginning of summer evening, and I am so happy to be here with my buddy VM on the back, my wild dog brother, and the sense. I think James, I heard James sort of talk to you the other night about some of the smells that he loves, and I really connected with him when he said sort of cut grass and sort of crushed grass and all these different smells that come up. Quite sweet smells as well as the night falls. Really beautiful. We've got a message from, or a tweet from Country Chick, and your question is whether wild dog are similar to hyena, or the same, or similar is probably the best word. The answer to that is very, very different animals, very different indeed. Wild dogs are in the dog family. And hyena are in their own family. The family is called Hyenidae, and a very unique predator hyena, with another very, very complex social structure. Very, very interesting good to be sitting with when you discuss them. But hopefully we'll see some in the coming days. This is the time of the night you find them sort of just traversing the reserve in the cooler times. But you can see hyena at any time of the day, really. They are so adaptive, and very, very extraordinary hunters as well. A lot of people, the poor old hyena, have been sort of given this tagline. They like the forest, or the woodland undertakers, or whatever. They come up and clean up. Which they do. They are fantastic scavengers, but they're very, very smart, and they're very, very successful hunters as well. And you can see that on many a documentary. But we may see one this evening. They can just lurk around a corner and just be walking down a road. But very, very different creatures, in the sense that they come from very, very different families. One is a canid, or the dog family, and the other one is out of a family called Hyenidae, in its own family. Oh, here we go. Here's a nice Ellie. Pretty much more probably related to cats than dogs, but the jury's open on that a little bit as well. Let me just button off here. Thank you very much for your question, though. Fantastic. So I'm just going to put a little wash of light over. I might use these lights, actually, over our Ellie friend here. There. That was worth investigating. Now, folks, we just heard an alarm over there. It could be just Impala defending his little harem, or his herd, but I think it's worth us going over and investigating. This elephant just starting the vehicle. It's just off to our left, folks, and I know you'll have no problem with that. It's quite dark, and this elephant's just about to move into the thicker vegetation, so we'll just go past nice and gently for him.
just want to go and investigate what that noise was. Oh, there's loads of elephant here. So let's just, okay, I can see what's happening. Alright. It was elephant. So let's just see, there's quite a number of elephant walking through here. And at night, one has to just be a little bit more aware of one's surroundings, because there we go, they're moving in that direction. We don't want to A, startle them, B, get in between the herd and cause a disturbance. And it's very important that we, just let me have a little scan around here, folks, so I'm in control of our situation. I know exactly where the herd is walking and make sure there's no individuals coming up. And there's a lot of animals going through there right now. So let me just get some wash light over there. And I'll just gently put a little bit of wash just over. You can see there's an individual there. It's just above my light, so I'm not putting the light right on them. And just there as well. So they're moving through, and goodness knows what ones they might have been ones I heard that James has seen, but they'll feed through the cool of the night as well. There's a couple of small individuals here. We heard a little vocalization over there. Wasn't sure that it was an elephant, but it was only a short little sort of burst of air. There's another one right in the background there. And I think it's really important just to share with you that at this time of the night, you do have to just heighten your awareness and just be really respectful always of the animals, which we always are, of course, but for our own safety as well. Our vision has been taken from us because of us being diurnal primates, meaning our vision is fantastic during the day, not that fantastic during the night. Okay, I'm pretty happy we can move across there now. Let me just button that off. Wow, what a fantastic day. I think we're going to just start up. But before we start up, I think we should go and see how our friend James is. He's always got something to say, and it's always something pretty good. So let's go and check him out. We'll see you just now.
Hello everyone. We are currently just past Vuyaterra or Juma Dam, where the stink of something that had long since passed its sell-by date assailed our nostrils. And we looked around there hoping to find the carcass of some hapless animal draped over a tree limb, but alas, there wasn't one. And so we left the area and came along, and we're now in the drainage line, or dry riverbed, just to the northern side of Gallagher Cap. And this, again, is a favourite haunt of Karula's. So, while it is a slight long shot, we're hoping we might be able to spot her through here, or any of the other creatures of the night. Through here now, and there's a little water hole up in front of us. And who knows, the leopard might be thirsty. So might any number of other things, I suppose. I'm sure how thirsty the elephants were today, the buffalo as well, Nyala, all drinking from the same little pond next to Juma Waterhole. So keep watching the dam cam. I think you'll find a number of things. I know the dam cam doesn't necessarily shine onto that waterhole or look onto the waterhole, but what it does do is give you a really nice wide view of anything that might be approaching it from the eastern side. And for those of you perhaps new viewers, we have a number of cameras situated around the world, wildlife hotspots, some of them on nests, some of them at waterholes, and this one of course is one of the oldest, the Juma Dam cam. It started off about, I think it's 17 years ago, as a camera that broadcast one low-resolution JPEG photograph every 10 seconds or so, or every minute I think it was. And my, how things have progressed. So there's the little waterhole. Karula doesn't appear to be frolicking in the shallows. What a pity. still, I suppose after the quite astonishing evening we've had, it would be a little bit churlish to turn our noses up to the universe and its beneficence today. Ryan? Beneficence. It's a good word, that, isn't it? Yes. You can see not very cold yet. I don't think it's going to get cold at all. Brian's even still in his shirt sleeve. Now, for that to occur, you must know it's practically tropical out here. Brian, at the slightest hint of a coolish breeze, wraps himself up. Some lovely smells out this evening. The odd touch, well, other than that foul stink of rotting flesh, which we had just now. Beautiful smells, subtle flowers of the early summer. Nothing, it doesn't smell like, it never smells sort of like a florist in here. But it does very so often, you get a subtle sweet smell from some of the flowers. And of course there's always a lovely smell of the dust, which is one of my favorites. And this time of the year, the fresh vegetation. It's just sprouting. Night out. We did have that wonderful chameleon, hoping to find some bush babies. I haven't seen a bush baby for a while. And what you'll find is now, I don't know how many of you have been with us since the winter, but probably quite a few. In the winter we see bush babies a little more often, obviously because there's no leaves on the trees, so they're a bit more easy to see. The bush baby, of course, is a little primate, looks like a koala there, but isn't. And they eat the acacia gum on acacia trees, obviously, during the winter time. But in the summer, when there are insects all over the place, they nip around the place eating insects in a variety of different locations and often in pretty thick bush. So we don't tend to see nearly as many of them at this time of the year as we might in the dead of the winter. Right. Now turning... Oh. Diker, because we don't want to blind the poor fellow. He won't see the leopard that's coming to eat him. I'd like to see the leopard that's coming to eat him, wouldn't you, Brian? Oh, I think, well, let's just quickly finish our discussion. I think you lost us while I was chatting to Sarah in Ohio. And Sarah, the lions, you were asking where are they? And just to reiterate, we don't know really. None called in today, not here or on Arathusa. And the Styx Pride, I think, is well south, probably in Mala Mala. The Nkuhumas seem to be almost north of us in Manyeleti, which is very far north for them. Seemingly avoiding the Birmingham boys, who are also down south, somewhere around Mala Mala. And interestingly, the Matimbas have been seen mating with other lionesses down in the south. So maybe their day is not yet out, and that would be quite nice. We were watching some video footage of them today in preparation for our National Geographic broadcast. And you know, those two Matimba males are spectacular looking lions. Far more so to my mind than the youngsters, the young pretenders that are the Birmingham boys. So, I don't know, maybe they've still got a little bit of fight left in them. Although the way they scarp it off here at the first sign of those youngsters really indicate either extreme cowardice or extreme prudence on their part. I don't like to cast aspersions on their characters, so we'll call it prudence for now. Much bigger, I would say, than those Birmingham fellows. So every so often I flick the light across and we see some shining light eyes. Those are normally from impala. We don't want to blind them to death, of course. So we just flick the light over them and come away. I can see a vehicle in front of me, and if I'm not mistaken, it might be the great Hayden Turner. Oh, that will be exciting. It'll be our first bush meeting. find him with our LED flashlights. Yes, indeed. There he is. Those are the lights. The great man himself heading towards us with a stealth befitting a man of his stature and experience. We'll turn off our lights and greet him warmly. Hello, Hayden. How are you?
How are you, mate?
Yes. Marvellous afternoon, was it not?
Unbelievable.
Yes,
How
spectacular.
good was
and
that?
well done. Where did you find them?
Well, Theo and I think we created a wild dog magnet. We were talking about them from the time we left.
Very good.
The time we left
Clever of you.
base, and we were just driving down the road that VM and I nearly a year ago saw a wild dog coming up over Buffelshoek over that hill. And sure enough, we got down there and VM, old eagle eyes in the sky, he just went bang, and I went, wow, fantastic, and the puppies were there, and they just came running over to us.
Straight over
To us, and like we were mum and dad, you know, disappointing, I know for them,
yes.
but
yes, quite. VM didn't give them any of his muesli.
No.
Or a banana.
No. So it was spectacular, mate. And then they just crashed out right next to us. And then I thought they were going to go across the road and take off. But then we thought we saw the adults, but they weren't there.
Okay. And then they eventually came out.
And then the adults came back, which was just
spectacular.
Fantastic, mate. I'm on a super high at the moment, mate. And then you had a fantastic
beautiful
little hunt and that.
Just watching them hunting through the bush, and obviously the drone picking them up as well.
Absolutely, mate.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's been great. This is the first time I've actually worked with James on Safari Live, proper, and what a day to remember, mate. I'll never forget this.
Nor will I.
This is brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
okay.
great. You carry on.
We'll press on.
Yep, we'll see you.
We'll see you
just
probably
now.
in about 10 minutes.
Got it.
Marvellous.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. See you later. Hi, Jim.
Hi, James.
What a nice fellow that is. So we might bump into the same herd of elephants that Hayden was looking at earlier, so we'll drive with caution. They will be moving around, I suspect. They don't, many of the ungulates will come onto the clearing here and stand about for most of the evening and not do a great deal except look out for things that might want to eat them. But the elephants will, I just got hit in the face by a bug. The elephants will move around and they'll eat for much of the night. Now the youngsters, it's quite an interesting one. Maybe I should turn the lights on. That will help me to not bump into the elephants. The youngsters will sleep probably for about 6 hours of the day, and the older ones apparently they can get away with as little as 2 hours of sleep a night. I'm certainly not in that position anymore. If I don't get more than sort of 6 hours a night, I tend to get a little crankier than I am normally. An elephant, big elephant, apparently the bigger that you are, the less you need to sleep. So it certainly doesn't hold for some of the big people I know. But as far as different species goes, that seems to be the case. So a very nice question from Virginia in Kentucky. I'm just going to stop here while I answer because the elephants are there in front of us. So we'll just put the sort of dim light on them and I'll answer your question, Virginia, and then we'll pop over to Hayden to say goodbye to us all. Well, not to me, of course, but to all of you. Virginia, you want to know, we obviously see better during the day than we do at night, and you want to know, is the inverse true, and do nocturnal animals who see better at night not see so well in the day? It tends not really to work like that. How it works is that there are basically, in very broad strokes, two kinds of cells in your eyes. One of them are called rods and the others are called cones, and that's got to do with their shape. Now the rods see the difference between light and dark, and the cones see color, different colors. And the way you remember that, of course, is that cones begins with C, as does the word color. Well, last time I checked anyway. Now what that means is that animals that have more rods in their eyes that are able to see better at night don't see color as well as animals like us, or many of the birds that have more cones than rods in their eyes. So what you don't sacrifice while you probably don't sacrifice a huge amount in the way of actual sight in the day if you see well at night, what you do is see far worse in color. All right, so that's how it works, Virginia. I hope that is a sufficient explanation for you. Thank you to all of you for a wonderful day, incredible afternoon of buffalo and elephant, marvelous wild dog sighting. It really just was very, very special, very relaxed, very easy, and so great to work with Hayden. Big thank you to Brian, the 4 girls in the final control room, and I'm going to pass you over to the inimitable Hayden, Turner and VM, and I'll see you tomorrow morning at 5:30, just for half an hour, remember. See you later, stay well, stay happy wherever you are, and bye-bye.
Well, I want to just wrap up quickly in about 60 seconds, which is quite tricky for me. But I want to say thank you to everyone for being with us on that spectacular sighting today. How incredible was that? 11 wild dog pups, 3 adults, and it was just something that I'll never forget. It's made my day, and hopefully it's made yours as well. Plus all those incredible elephant encounters that James had. Andrew with his eyes in the sky. Just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant stuff. And this is what Safari Lives is all about. It's this unique experience that you're with us. You're with us. It's hard to explain to people, but once people watch, like you are, you get hooked. We're hooked. And we're hooked because you're hooked. It's a really, really simple equation. To be here in this immersive experience in Africa, a place that is just so magical. And we want to see you again tomorrow. So hopefully, if all goes well, I'll see you in the morning. No, I won't. I'll see you in the afternoon maybe. Have a fantastic time. Thanks for watching.